You're listening to the International Moving Podcast, your guide to moving to another country, brought to you by SDC International Shipping, LA's finest. An international move is exciting. It's a time to start over, establish a new business maybe, reestablish family ties, or retire where your budget will do more for you. Please enjoy today's episode, and if you have any questions about your international move, give us a call at 888-779-3962. That's 888-779-3962. All right, welcome back, everyone. This is Jim for SDC International Shipping. As always, thank you for joining me for today's podcast episode. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the summer surge and how to prepare for an international move during the peak season. Now, during the months of May all the way through maybe September, you are looking at the peak international moving season. And I want to talk a little bit about this today. So whether you're relocating for work, maybe you want to reunite with loved ones overseas, you might be in a position where you're getting ready to retire abroad or thinking about it, or maybe you're just looking for a fresh start in a new country. The summer months can offer ideal timing for your move. But the thing is, summer is also the busiest time of the year for the entire international moving industry. So let's talk a little bit today about some of the steps that you can take to get through this process during the summer rush. Now, I want to start by saying this. It is to your advantage to book early. To book early and to book smart. So let's start with that. If we were going to do this step by step, I would say that this would have to be your first step, because this is the most important advice that everything else is built around. You don't want to wait to book your international move. Now, again, peak season typically begins in later May and runs through September. During this time, container space can tighten, professional packing crews can be booked solid, port activity spikes, and if you wait too long to make arrangements, you may face higher prices, fewer shipping options, and extended delivery timelines. So our strongest recommendation is this: start the process at least 8 to 12 weeks in advance. And this means contacting your international mover. In this case, hopefully you contact us here at SDC International Shipping. Get your quote, review your options, and then secure your shipment window as early as possible. Now, at SDC International Shipping, the process here begins with a personal consultation. And this is really important because this is where your inventory is assessed. You can review the destination requirements with a specialist, and you can receive a tailored quote that reflects not just the size of your household, but the shipping method, any specialty items that need to be shipped, like pianos, even vehicles, and whatever value-added services that you may need, like maybe temporary storage or additional insurance. Booking early also gives you the flexibility in your shipping date, flexibility in things like container choices, flexibility in budgeting, and so on. So early planning gives you more control. Late planning gives you less control. Just look at it like that. So right now, I'm making this recording on the 30th. You'll probably be listening to it on, I believe, the 1st or 2nd. June is an important month because as soon as the schools let out, corporate relocation packages often kick in. Expat visas are approved, and the competition for quality moving slots skyrockets. And it's not unusual for shipping containers to be booked up to 3 weeks in advance during peak months. And we've seen clients, unfortunately, who waited too long and they pay more money than they wanted to for last-minute air freight just to keep their timeline on track. Others had to delay their entire move by weeks because containers weren't available. These are headaches that you really don't need, headaches that can be avoided. So if you're listening right now and you're thinking about moving in July or August, pause this podcast, head over to our website at sdcinternationalshipping.com or call us directly at 877-339-0267. A quick conversation with one of our relocation specialists could mean the difference between a seamless on-schedule move or a delayed, costly experience. So don't underestimate how quickly dates book up in peak season. If we wanted to look at this topic in steps, I would say that this would be the second step, and that is let professionals handle your packing. Now, this is something I want to talk about. It's one of the most underestimated parts of moving internationally, and that's packing. Because at first glance, it might seem like packing is one of those things that you can be a do-it-yourselfer and you can save money. But international shipping isn't just like moving across town. You're not just putting boxes on a truck and sending them thousands of miles or hundreds of miles. We're talking about sending items across oceans, across continents, through customs inspections, and sometimes even through climate extremes. And here's why professional packing matters so much. Number one, customs compliance, and most people aren't even aware of this. I remember when I was first learning this topic, I never even thought about what the materials were made out of, because countries have specific rules about how items are packed and documented. And our team at SDC International Shipping can create a detailed inventory list, apply the proper labeling, and ensure that your packing materials meet international standards. That, again, was one of the things I just didn't understand. I'm just assuming that packing materials are packing materials. So, for example, you go to maybe a Walmart. I'm not sure where you would buy boxes just for a local move. I guess there's plenty of places, right? But those boxes may not necessarily be made of the type of materials, packing materials that meet international standard. So packing isn't just packing. Failure to do it correctly can result in delays or even fines, and certain items may be seized if they're not properly listed or properly packaged. So there can be issues there. Number two, damage prevention. Summer brings heat, humidity, sometimes tropical storms, depending on your origin or your destination. And improperly packed items can warp, they can crack or mold during transit. So the team here at SDC uses vapor-resistant wrapping, moisture control packs, reinforced custom crates for valuables like artwork, maybe electronics, or expensive heirlooms. And this ensures that your cherished belongings arrive safely in the same shape that they left. Next, insurance eligibility. Most international moving insurance policies, like all-risk cargo coverage, require professional packing to ensure that the claim will be honored if something does happen. If you pack yourself, most of the time, if not all of the time, you're probably not going to be eligible for the full coverage in the event of damage. So our expert packing not only protects your goods, but also protects your investment. Peace of mind. Honestly, packing can be exhausting. And when you hand that part over to professionals, you reduce the stress significantly with the entire overall project. You reduce stress, you save time, and think about this for a moment. I'm sure that there's things that you do every day that you're an expert at. And being an expert, not only can you do the job faster, but you can do it better than someone who maybe is doing it for the first or second time. And that's one of the things you have to remember about hiring professionals, and in this case, working with professional packers. This is something they do all the time. And so they know exactly how to pack, what needs to be packed, and the whole process from A to Z. So to hand that off to somebody else can be worth it. It can be definitely worth the price that you're going to pay to have that done. Now, if we're talking about packing sheets or bed linens or something like that, I would say, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm talking about most of the things in your home do not fit in that category. Most of the things in your home are probably breakable. They'd be susceptible or can be damaged to extremes in heat or moisture or anything like that. So, and logistics efficiency, that's another part that is in the whole packing experience, because the team isn't just going to pack boxes. They're also going to organize everything, and they know how to maximize container space. They know how to balance fragile and heavy items and keep everything labeled in such a way that it makes unpacking on the other side seamless. A lot of people don't realize that when you pack any type of container or any type of truck, you're packing it with not just the trip in mind, but the destination and how to unpack and how to move things efficiently into your new home. So if you're considering an international move this summer, give yourself the gift of professional packing services. It's not a luxury, it's just a smart investment, and it gives you peace of mind. Next, understand the customs in your destination country. So, customs regulation, it's sort of a gatekeeping type of setup. No matter where you're going to, let's say the UK, France, Australia, Canada, or elsewhere, customs is a non-negotiable part of your international move. And here are the basics that you need to know. First, let's talk about the UK as a good example of this. They have something called transfer of residency, or TOR for short. If you're moving there, you need to apply for a transfer of residency at least 10 days before your goods are shipped. You need to provide your passport, your visa, and a detailed packing list. The application for this can be found at gov.uk. That's gov.uk. Now, we do have a website that we specially designed for people going to the UK. It's called movefromusa2uk.com. Again, that is movefromusa2uk.com. And that site is loaded with invaluable information if you're heading from the United States to the UK. Links to many of the forms that you'll need, everything is available there. You can check that out. So, missing that deadline for your TOR, transfer of residency, some people call it transfer of residency relief. Failure to do that can mean paying duties or having your items held. If you're going to France, they have something called a change of residence certificate. It's issued by the French embassy in your origin country. So you'll also need to complete a non-session certificate stating that your goods are for personal use and they won't be sold within a year of import. Additional documents like a valued inventory and proof of new residency also may be required as part of your customs experience going into France, Canada, and Australia. And just so you know, wherever you're going to, at least if you call SDC International Shipping, you're going to work with a relocation specialist that specializes in that type of move that you're making. So, in other words, if you're moving to France, then you're going to work with someone that specializes in that move, and the same thing for the other locations. And they know exactly what the intricacies of customs involves in your destination country, and so they'll guide you through and work with you through the entire process. Canada and Australia, these countries offer duty-free options for personal goods also, but you must declare everything accurately and ensure that you meet their residency or visa criteria. The goods that you bring over must typically be owned and used for at least 6 months or more before shipment. So customs is not just bureaucracy, it's also border security, and each country has unique standards. Some inspect every single shipment. Others randomly sample. Some require translated forms or notarized affidavits. So in other words, here's an example. If you're moving to Spain, then the forms have to be filled out in Spanish. Failure to comply with customs procedures is one of the top reasons for delays in international shipments. But here's the good news. At SDC, your relocation specialist will guide you through every form, every document, and the requirements specific to your destination. And they stay up to date on rule changes, help you avoid common mistakes like under-declaring values or forgetting to list electronics by serial number when you're moving your electronics over. Some of you may say, oh my God, I have to put the serial number of each one of my electronics. Yes, so you can see why it's important to be working with someone that knows what they're doing. You don't want to guess your way through customs. So in this case, let STC be your guide. With our help, your shipment will get there quickly and safely. Next, the right shipping options. So you know you're moving, you know you're going to be packing, you're getting help with your packing and customs. Now's the time to ask, how are my belongings going to get to my new home? What are my options? The two main options for international shipping are air freight and sea freight. Air freight is great if you have a smaller shipment or time-sensitive items. It offers faster transit, think of days instead of weeks. It's great for electronics, documents, smaller household items, and the essentials that you need right away. It is more expensive per cubic foot, but it's worth it for peace of mind, and typically it includes premium handling and tracking. Next is sea freight, which is great for full household moves, shipping bulky furniture, things like that. It's significantly more cost effective more often than not. There are a few exceptions that I remember hearing about in the past, I think with South America, places like Brazil and Argentina. But 99 out of 100 times I would say that sea freight is a great option for full household moves. Options can include things like full container load. That means you're going to have your own 20-foot or 40-foot container, or less than container load. We have something called groupage shipping, where maybe you don't have enough goods to fill an entire container, and so you can split the cost with groupage shipping, which means that your items will be placed with other families in the same shipping container going to the same location. And so now with shipping, transit times can range several weeks depending on your destination, but it offers better scalability as far as the overall move and lower cost per item moved in the big picture. But yeah, shipping, groupage shipping is or groupage consolidation, it's very popular because sharing a container with others going to the same destination, if you have a moderate sized move or you're really budget conscious, the groupage allows you to enjoy those lower costs, but you're still going to get the same professional handling. A relocation specialist at STC can help you choose the best fit. Sometimes it's going to be a combination of things based on your needs, based on your timeline, and based on your budget. And they'll explain everything to you: port fees, customs charges, delivery timelines. All that will be spelled out in your quote, so there's not going to be any surprises. Now, the last, I guess we can call it a step, would be to consider some storage solutions. Let's talk about storage because it's often an overlooked part of a summertime international move. Sometimes your move-out date doesn't match your move-in date, or maybe you want to house hunt abroad before settling in. There's times where I've heard people they'd stay at a hotel for a week while looking for a place to rent, or stay at a hotel for a few weeks while looking at a place to rent. Or, there's different ways, there's different situations depending on your individual circumstances. But the bottom line is storage becomes a workable solution in that case, because you can enjoy climate-controlled storage units here in the U.S. or abroad. Maybe you're going to move things in sections, or you're going to store certain things while you're renting, and then maybe you're going to buy and move everything else in. There's both short and long-term contracts based on your needs. There's a coordinated pickup and delivery from your home to the storage facility and then to your new location once you're ready. You can enjoy the benefits of that without having to fret because maybe you don't have enough storage at the new location. You're only going to be there temporarily. And so that just gives you some breathing room so that you don't have to be concerned. There's been times where people thought that their move-in location was going to be ready, and then something happened. I remembered a story that I heard a few years ago where pipes broke and the apartment that the person was moving into in the UK had flooded. And so suddenly the delivery of all those household goods was put on hold. What happens then? Well, because we have these storage climate-controlled units already on standby waiting for you on both sides of the move, rather than panic or pay extra fees as the stuff was just sitting there on the port because there was no the destination place was not ready to receive those items yet, this is where temporary storage came in. Those items could be immediately moved into storage. And then I don't know how long the flood damage took, or if the company set them up with another type of living arrangement, but it's much cheaper to put your items, your household goods, into a temporary storage unit than to have them sitting on the port and paying port fees. And so the unexpected things, unfortunately, do happen to people sometimes. So I usually call that pulling the short straw. Every once in a while in life, you get the short straw, if you know what that means, and the situation goes sideways. And so at SDC International Shipping, again, you're going to be working with professionals, people that do this every day. There's no reason to fret or to get anxious about the entire move. But if things happen that are outside of everyone's control, we already have solutions in place because we've been doing this so long. It's a shock to you. It's the first time that you've seen anything like this. But when you work with professionals, they've seen it all. And so they know exactly what to do. And so you're in good hands. So just relax and know that if you're going to use a professional company, and I wasn't going to talk about this, but I'm just going to throw this in there. When you go online and you're looking for an international moving company, how do you actually know? I mean, you're looking at the website. If you're dealing with a legitimate company, or you're dealing with a middleman that's maybe just going to outsource your move to several other parties, how do you actually know? Well, there's certain things you most definitely want to look for. And I go back to even like in the old days when people would contact the Better Business Bureau. Well, the Better Business Bureau is still around. Do a little bit of research, because if the company is a legitimate company, then you're going to find them. They're going to be part of the Better Business Bureau. They're going to have an international moving company license. They're going to have all those little details that you're not going to find. They're going to have a regular address that's not just a P.O. box. They're going to have people that you can talk to live, and they're going to be able to answer your questions because that's what they do. And so the nice thing about the online world today is people are a little smarter than they were, let's say, 10, 15 years ago when it was like the Wild West online, but you still have to do your due diligence. So at SDC International Shipping, regardless of which of our websites you go to, that you'll find all that information is available there. Toll-free numbers, moving licenses. We're part of the Federal Maritime Commission. We have a number there. You can look it up and make sure that the company you're dealing with still has a valid license through them. And just make sure your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed. When we talk about these review sites, there's people on there that give fake positive reviews and fake negative reviews. So as great as the reviews are, you can take a step beyond that again and make sure that the licensing and everything is in place. And if you're not sure, you can just call and ask, where can I research your license? I mean, who would I contact? I just want to make sure that I'm working with a legitimate company. And if it is a legitimate company, they'll have no trouble steering you in the right direction and giving you that kind of information. So just something to keep in the back of your mind. All right, some final thoughts. The summer of 2025 is going to be a busy moving season. I really believe that. The world is open. People are moving not just from the United States to other countries, but they're moving all over Europe. They're moving all over Asia. They're moving throughout the Middle East, Africa, everywhere. People are more mobile today than they've ever been before. And so the demand for relocation services is also booming, and international moving is in full swing. So if you're planning a move, don't wait. Start the conversation now. Visit our website at www.sdcinternationalshipping.com or call us at 877-339-0267. And let SDC International Shipping be your guide, be your partner, help you make this door-to-door international move a reality, help you with the paperwork, the packing, the customs, the containers, all of that, they do it each and every day, and they have the experience to make your journey smoother and more successful than you possibly even imagine. So thanks so much for listening to today's episode. If you found it helpful, please subscribe, share it with anyone you know who's planning to make a move in the not too distant future. Anyway, this is Jim. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you again in next Monday's episode.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thanks for listening. Whether you're relocating within the country or moving to the other side of the world, we're here to help from start to finish. Connect with us today at 888-779-3962. That's 888-779-3962.